Peace, peace, peace. I am Phillip Roundtree, and you are tuned into the April 8th edition of Rhetorically Speaking. Listen, we just gonna get right to it, man. This is an audience participation type of day, right? This is an audience participation type of day, which means that I want to see your questions so I can answer them, so we can have some dialogue, so we can have some conversation. If you want to call in, 267-420-2070. Don't try to call me any other time outside of this live daily digital show, because you will go to voicemail. And if you're not a creep and you might have a Skype, we can have some Skype conversation, some Skype dialogue in front of the people. So shout out to the people who are watching on Facebook Live, those who are watching on YouTube Live, and those who are too cool for school watching on Instagram Live. Make sure you go to those other places, especially YouTube, and hit the subscribe button. At this point, I'm still 99,900. Well, no, I think like 800 and something followers away from monetizing this whole rhetorically speaking thing on YouTube, right? Because I got bills to pay. And I'm going to get to it, so I don't got to play it at any other point during this contest, during this broadcast. You know what it is. From my favorite black militant to yours, Dr. Umar Johnson. Listen, man, I'm sorry. I love that. I love that video. I'm giving you this brain food, this information. Shout out to Mindful Liverpool Mum. So because I see Liverpool Mum, I'm assuming that you're over in the UK. Dare I say in Liverpool. So shout out to you who are tuned in on IG Live. So again, this is a Q&A type of day. Give your questions. I'm gonna do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. But first, we're gonna get into this conversation. And this conversation is about social distancing amongst black folk. So apparently within the last 48 hours in Philadelphia, this video went viral. And the video went viral for this very reason. Let me play it. And what you see there is a bunch of young black boys in North Philadelphia at the basketball court. And people are playing ball, but it's about 50 of them. And they just sitting there chilling, right? They're sitting there convening and congregating. They're not adhering to social distancing rules and measures that have been put in place. Why? I don't know. Maybe because they're young. Maybe because they don't take the coronavirus serious. Maybe they just like, yo, F it, F y'all rules. I'm not adhering to it. What I don't want to say outraged me. What frustrated me is that not necessarily what they were doing, but the fact that that would have been me 20 years ago. Where if a couple of my homies like, yo, let's go to the basketball courts. I don't care if it's a pandemic, epidemic taking place. I'm going to go be with my friends. Why? Because that is age appropriate behavior. It's age appropriate behavior. Me personally, having a history as a therapist, I would look at the child who is still in the home, who's not clamoring to be outside, with their friends, who's happy to be in their room for days and days on end. I would be more concerned if they weren't putting up a fight trying to get out. Now, we're not saying them putting up a physical fight or being disrespectful, but like, yo, I want to go outside. Can I go play? Because that might mean that there's some underlying issues that are taking place. And so there was so much outrage. There was so much disdain for these black boys for being outside. Meanwhile, I just came from Cheltenham, Pennsylvania. Not necessarily a suburb, but it's considered a suburb of Philadelphia. The further you get away from Philadelphia into Cheltenham. And I'm running past families of 4, families of 5, white folk, Asian folk, 70 and 80-year-olds just chilling outside. Like I said before, y'all the ones that's dying. Why are you out here? But that's not what goes viral. If you missed it, Illinois, and I forgot his role, the official in Illinois, but he ordered cops to start busting up parties. And the cops bust up a party. And who was in the party but his wife? Right? His wife was at the party. Now, do we look at that different? Why? Because we have 50 black boys standing outside at the basketball court, or this white, older-aged woman who's at a cocktail party, who's just chilling with her friends? We know it's going to be viewed different. What was frustrating to me was the conversation from other black folk demonizing these young black boys. Again, I understand when concern exists, but unfortunately where concern is, a lot of times it's not grace that follows, it's vitriol. So we call them stupid A kids, dumb A kids. What the F are they doing? Because we've been conditioned to talk to black boys this way. And yet we wondering why they say F your coronavirus. I'm going around people that show me love. That's what that is. I want to feel good. And so if I want to feel good, where am I going to go? If I'm a teenager, that's not going downstairs to chill with moms, to chill with pops, to chill with granny, to chill with auntie. That's going to be around my peers. But you know what that takes? That takes somebody who has a level of insight and understands child development. I've talked about this already. White kids doing the same thing. It was a white mother who said her 18-year-old kid, her son she was taking her son to a bonfire every day because he wanted to go. And he wasn't listening about staying home. That's more egregious to me. She's taking him to the Rona. Instead of letting him find the Rona themselves. Like what's happening here. Again, if we want to be, scientific about it, we know the frontal lobe doesn't develop until mid-20s. Which means there's going to be a lot more impulsivity. A lot less thinking before I act. And then when we're talking about being in an environment where trauma might exist, where poverty might exist, we're talking about everything being impulsive. Because at the end of the day, it's about survival. And so if my survival means going to be around my peers then that's exactly what I'm going to do. And there's nothing you're going to tell me that's going to change that. Keep your social distancing. You already control every aspect of my life. You try to force me to go to school under schools that aren't resourced, that lack resources. You already profile me when I'm walking down the street anyway. So I'm under stress all the time. So why not go, if I'm gonna be under stress, this corona not nothing from what some of these young black boys have endured. I guarantee if you go to that basketball court and you ask them, how many of y'all know somebody that got shot? Know somebody that had a mental health breakdown? Know somebody that dropped out of school? How many of you had a day where you didn't eat dinner, where you didn't eat breakfast? A large majority of them are going to say, yeah, that's me. And so they might look at it, the one thing that I have is my homies. And if us old folk could step out of our old folkish ways and we think of ourselves in when we were youths, how many times that we do things that weren't the smartest, that weren't the brightest, that put our health in jeopardy? Like, y'all done had unprotected sex. Not everybody, I know, because I know y'all, some of y'all sanctified, Holy Ghost filled. But you done slipped up. But again, we old now, right? And so we could look back at a generation and say, this is what y'all should be doing. Not many people explaining as to why they should be doing this. But it's pointing the finger. And they're pointing the finger not out of love, but to shame them. Something they've experienced their whole life, potentially. And so, yeah, I'm going to go out and be with my homies. Think about, you know different than them. Think about when you first learned of the corona, COVID-19, SARS-CoV something. I know where I was. I was on radio for a month straight. And my talking points on corona were, listen, man, it done got how many people in China? 500? And how many billions of people are in China? Come on, man, that's not an epidemic. Why would I even worry about that? Because why? It has to get to your front door sometimes, right? And so as I've been sitting here rapping for about 30 minutes rolling, I didn't have my mic on. And so now here we are. Shout out to the people who are watching on YouTube. That might actually end up watching on Instagram Live. That might actually be the video. So what we're talking about is the viral video of the kids that took place at the basketball courts. And how that was age-appropriate behavior. Again, I'd be concerned if they weren't around trying to be around their friends. Their frontal lobe doesn't fully develop until their 20s, their mid-20s. So we expect impulsive behaviors. And lastly, think about when Corona first started. We didn't take it serious. I was at a radio station talking about Well, if it happened for 500 people and there's a billion people in China, why should I care? Why would I care about that? And so when we think about these kids, think about Philadelphia as being China. And thinking about their peers and thinking about them being us and how we were when we first learned of Corona. And so it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. But we're going to keep the party going. I ain't going to lie. I'm a little frustrated. I'm a little flustered because I had the mic off the whole time and I thought I was rolling. I thought I had some quotables. But that's the game, right? That's the game. It happens. Shout out to my mom who said she thought it was her. She kept rebooting her phone. Oh, boy. So here we are back. This might be an even shortened episode now. It's all good, though. Because I was able to get those points off, at least on IG Live. And so I will be posting a video on there. And so I appreciate you all for tuning in for this 20 minutes. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow with Ashley Guy on our Talk About It Thursdays. And I guarantee my volume will be on. It will be on. As I talk about what's popping and what's happening in the streets. I am Phillip Roundtree and you've been listening to Rhetorically Speaking. Peace.